What's up, y'all? And welcome back to Loose Ends Fantasy Football Podcast, a fantasy football podcast for average fantasy players, hosted by Glenjamin.
Your average fantasy players ourselves.
Absolutely. I'm your host, Blake, but better known as your reigning, undisputed, defending, drunk in draft, Dynasty League champion of the world. And with me today, I have the pleasure of introducing both of my co-hosts. In the black and gold corner, I have a diehard Steelers fan, and y'all know when he isn't reaching for things from the top shelf and ducking under doorways, my man is knee deep, or in his case, shin deep in fantasy football analytics. My boy, the analytics steel curtain, JJ. What's up, Bubba? How you feeling?
What's going on, baby? Yeah, I'm feeling good. Got a little whiskey in my glass. I'm ready to do this shit.
Absolutely. In the black and silver corner, let's give a warm welcome to the man formerly known as the Toilet Bowl God, and has gone from zero to hero, posing as a rebuild sensation, Montavious, the rebuild God, Glenjamin. Welcome. What's up, buddy?
What's up, y'all? Let's do it.
All right. We're going into week 3, boys. We had week 1, we had week 2. That's how numbers work, and now we're in week 3. How's everybody feeling?
Feeling
After
good.
Adele, feeling good. Didn't think we was gonna get it.
Yeah, what we?
I think all three of us are looking at
2-0.
2-0 to start the season.
Yeah.
Hey.
That's pretty
That's
impressive.
a good way to start. I want to do some week 2 takeaways. Now that we've seen weeks 1 and 2, I'm going to go by division. We're just going to run down. I'm going to hit you guys with some just major points that we're seeing right now, just based on the 10,000-foot view of the games. I got JJ on the stats and analytics for us today on the 1s and 2s, and Glenjamin's here to provide our typical goofy comedy.
Average feedback.
Average fantasy football feedback. All right, we're going AFC East. You got the Bills. Khalil Shakir, WR1. Can we hold up with that? That is definitely a question. Okay. The Pats, Ramadre and Gibson. Is anybody else relevant? I mean, does anybody else care about any receiver in that? Any tight ends in that room over there?
Hunter Henry.
Okay.
Hunter Henry.
Okay. The Jets, a little slow start, kind of in general, especially for GW. Not exactly what we anticipated. Aaron Rodgers kind of having a slow start as expected, and then
Are you worried about him?
no, and then you have the Dolphins. Tua. Enough said. All right.
Oh,
What about the Bills? What are we looking at? Khalil Shakir, JJ. What about that wide receiver room? How does it look?
not good. So I wanted to plug something really quick. I have a learning lesson for you that I was really kind of taught myself this week, and that is make sure you're looking at the other side of the ball when you're putting these receivers in your rosters. I made the mistake of putting Keon Coleman in my lineup, and he gave me a big fat goose egg. That's 15 yards. Not very happy with that, but the reason why is because he was matched up against Jalen Ramsey on the one-on-one man coverage, so he was locked down. He had one target, no receptions, booty. But something about the Bills that's kind of interesting. They're a run team right now, and I was not expecting that by any means. They want to run the ball, they want to play defense, so they made that very clear. James Cook looks like a league winner. He had 29.5 fantasy points this week with 11 carries, 78 yards, and 2 tutties. And then that was on the ground and 1 through the air, 1 reception for 17 yards, and that was a touchdown.
Is that your number 1 team in the AFC East this week?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're 2-0. They just rolled the Miami Dolphins, and the Dolphins, they looked pretty good in week 1. I mean, they had a slow start, but they looked good. And I mean, obviously, we talked about losing Tua hurts a lot. Skylar Thompson is going to fill in there. Someone, if you're in a super flex league, maybe you're looking at Skylar Thompson. I'm not. I really wouldn't even mess with that, especially considering they just signed Tyler Huntley from the Ravens practice squad, who I like a lot. Was an alternate in the Pro Bowl in 2022. Other than that, Devon Achane for the Dolphins. I mean, this guy was questionable to play and ended up having 22 carries, which is ridiculous, for 96 yards. He went 7 for 7 in receptions again. That's amazing. 69 yards receiving and a touchdown. And then the other, Khalil Shakir, he did lead the receiving room. Like Blake said, 5 receptions for 54 yards, no touchdown. Like I said, there was only 1 touchdown through the air, and that was to James Cook. Dalton Kincaid looked okay. Had 4 receptions for 33 yards. Didn't quite hit that 4 for 40 yard line, but that we're looking for.
Montavious, what do you think?
I think the Bills are playing like we expected the Ravens to play, if that makes sense. But yeah, they seem like they're gonna be a run heavy team with a solid defense. So I like how they look. So
We love it. To answer your question before, JJ, I am not worried about GW. Look at the target share this week. He had a massive target share last week. Still had 11 targets last week. Yes, he only had 6 receptions, a couple of close ones in there. Yeah, I'm not worried about GW. He's still the guy over there.
Only 57 yards receiving. Alan Lazard, I think he's irrelevant. I know he was kind of a big waiver wire ad after the week 1 games. Looked like he was going to be that target monster, but I really don't believe in him. So moving on from that, for sure. Calvin really had a really great game in that matchup against the Jets. The Jets pulled out their first win. Happy for them. Aaron Rodgers, 13.14 fantasy points, threw the ball 30 times. He had 176 yards and 2 touchdowns. Kind of better, definitely better than what we saw in week 1, but still not quite what we were expecting from him. And I did want to plug something else really quick, guys, that I saw from Bleacher Report today. Guys, it was 2019. After the first 2 weeks of the season, there were 105 passing touchdowns. In 2020, there were 110. In 2021, there were 110 again. And then 2022 is 105. Then we have a huge drop. In 2023, there was only 86 passing touchdowns. This year, excluding the Monday night game, as we're filming this, we're actually I've got the game on myself. There are 66 passing touchdowns through the first 2 weeks, and that's pending the Monday night football game right now. Still zeros on the board, but that is atrocious, and it's not fun to fucking watch. I'm tired of this shit. These offenses are ass. Is it the defenses are good or the offenses are trash? I don't know.
or
We
the
have
quarterback's
a
ass.
I say we have a lot of young quarterbacks and a lot of inexperienced quarterbacks. But I do think the defenses are getting better, right? Defense speed wise and everything is catching up to the speed of the offenses. But we're moving into the AFC North, so we have the Steelers and the Browns. The only comment I have about those guys, I mean, no offense, but they both have a win. So what's happening? Deonta Foreman, right, had more field and more red zone touches than Jerome over there. So that's something to definitely monitor right now. That backfield is kind of like a can't be trusted. The Ravens name we had the same snap share for Henry and Hill again. Is Zay legit? And then the tight ends equal poop, right? So that's kind of what we're looking at right now. Is Isaiah likely came back from the moon? They're still trying to figure it out over there, but all signs lead to Mark Andrews being in the upward trending direction. Like we said, be patient. The Bengals, Zach Moss still controls that backfield, so not really much to monitor. Panic on Jamar Chase? Question mark. Tough one, right? Another bad week.
Man, he lost his mind. Oh my god, that dude's frustrated right now.
A lot of frustration going around. We saw him and DJ Moore was frustrated. I mean, quite a few guys that we saw
Yeah.
being frustrated on the sidelines.
Amari Cooper looks like the pooper. Really, he doesn't look good.
All right, JJ, what do we think about the AFC North?
So I am really surprised, honestly. The Ravens lost 2 weeks in a row. Bengals lost 2 weeks in a row. Not really like them. They're not looking like
Who they
themselves.
lose to?
Can't get their offenses together.
Who
Who?
they lose to?
The Raiders.
Raiders.
Yeah. Devontae Adams is back. Well, I guess we'll get to him later. But Zay Flowers had a great game, guys. He went 7 for 11, had 91 yards at a touchdown. I mean, that's what you love to see from the young man. Leading that receiving room. Andrews, like I said, I don't think he had a bad week. He went 4 for 5 and had 51 yards. I think he did drop a touchdown pass if I remember correctly. So easily could have had him in like the at least double digits, closer to 15 probably. Lamar didn't look that great. Had an interception. I was sacked twice. I went 21 for 34, and he had 5 carries for 45 yards. That's 9 yards a carry. It's pretty good. And then, yeah, okay. So you talked about the Browns in that backfield with Jerome Ford and Deonta Foreman. Deonta Foreman actually started this game, and he had 14 carries, where Jerome Ford only had 7 carries. That to me looks like a committee, and it's concerning because I thought Jerome Ford was going to be someone you could rely on in fantasy, especially with Chubb not being there. But the fact that they are involving Deonta Foreman so much really concerns me. And this wasn't a good matchup, especially against that defensive line in Baltimore. But let's see who else. Steelers, man, we got the win again, yay! But I got to tell you, this offense is so hard to watch, man. Yeah, like going from a Hall of Fame quarterback to this shit is so frustrating. 17 carries from Najee again. That's great volume. Um, only 69 yards. Hey, 69. 1 for 5 yards. 1 reception for 5 yards. Jalen Warren had 2 receptions for 19 yards. 9 carries, 42 yards. So that splits there. It looks like Najee is the one, right? We were concerned about that. I was concerned about Cordell Patterson. Not really worried about that. George Pickens, he got locked down by Pat Surtain. I told people to sit him this week. I hope you guys listened, unless you were in a pinch. And then my boy Muth went 4 for 4 and had 39 yards. That's fine. 7.9 fantasy points. I'll deal with that. And then you got Darnell Washington, who ball hawked his touchdown. Big bastard. No, I love Darnell. But other than that, I don't really have a lot to say about the Bengals. Very disappointing. At least Joe Burrow looked a little bit better. But
Montavious, what do you think?
About the Steelers, like he said, offense, nothing to brag about. Their defense is obviously solid. But yeah, other than that, Deshaun Watson looked a little better. Other than that, out of that, nothing really to brag home about.
Perfect. Let's kick over to the AFC South. We got the Texans. Nico Collins is the elite. Mixon ankle, something to monitor. Got the Colts. Snap share percentage went down for JT. Only 11 routes run to Sermon's 12 routes run. Alec Pierce outperforming Michael Pittman, something to look at. Jaguars ETN still being efficient, even though it's a Dookie offense, and Tank Bigsby is now hurt. So ETN show again. Titans, Will Levis experiment finally over? Question mark. Tyjae Spears has an injury we definitely need to monitor. Montavious, what do you think about this AFC South over here?
Titans, yeah, nothing much. Pollard looks good. He looks like he's gonna be solid. Calvin Ridley, they look like they're gonna utilize him in They got a carry for a tutty. Six targets, 77 yards. So, I think those two are solid. Other than that,
JJ, what do you see? What do you see on the ones and twos for us?
Will Levis is awful. I think that coach hates him. I don't know if you guys saw that, but it is not good there.
He might be my new Darren Waller. That dude's a duck, bro.
Just-
Just dookie.
Yeah,
Poop.
he's not good. Tony Pollard does look like he's going to have a pretty solid volume with Tyjae not being there, and the Jaguars look like sheep. They don't look good at all. Brian Thomas looked okay. Travis Etienne, I mean, he outscored his projection with 14.8 fantasy points, but still, I mean, only 13 carries, 3 receptions, only 6 yards. But yeah, Brian Thomas had 2 receptions for 94 yards. And I will say, with Evan Ingram being a last-minute scratch, he didn't play. Brenton Strange came in, did pretty good. He went 3 for 6 and had 65 yards, so that's pretty good. Ended up with 9.5 fantasy points. So if you were able to grab him before the game started, that was pretty good for you. Let's see, who else are we looking
Colts
at?
and the Texans.
Yeah. So the Texans actually looked kind of slow. It didn't look like the offense that we expected. Stephon Diggs took a step back from week 1. Probably should have sold him after that week 1 performance with 2 touchdowns. I kind of would have gotten away from that. Nico Collins is the man.
Elite. Not Tank Dell. Not Tank Dell. For those who pay attention to the podcast, for our everyday fans, it is not Tank Dell. Not Tank Dell. I don't care if they're best friends and they're boys and hold hands to the movies. It is not Tank Dell. All year, baby. You're going to hear it all year.
More like Tank smell like Dookie. All
Yeah.
right, he is not good.
More like tank. If you have him on your team's going to tank. Clowns.
I mean, we're 2-0, so we're okay.
Yeah.
And the Colts, yeah, obviously a little worried about Anthony Richardson after throwing 3 interceptions.
He is
Didn't look very good, man.
not
Didn't look
accurate.
good. Little worried. Well, we knew that. I wasn't a big fan of him because of his accuracy. I was a big fan of him because of his running ability. He had 4 carries for 37 yards. Yeah, we need to up those numbers, but I want to see at least 50 yards. Uh, I think that negates like 128 passing yards, something like that. So that's why I think there's so much value, or it's equivalent to. I'm sorry, not negate. It's equivalent to 128 passing yards. Jonathan Taylor looked better. 12 carries for 103, 2 receptions for 32 yards, but they lost this game. Alec Pierce looked good. I mean, is Alec Pierce the one there? Because Michael Pittman is like 3 for 7, 21 yards. That's not the wide receiver one that we thought he was. I think that's all I got.
Agreed. Over to the AFC West. Chargers, J.K. Dobbins, RB1. Chiefs, Rashi Rice, and no one else matters. Pacheco, major injury. Carson Steele, question mark. The Raiders, tight end 1 with upside. Zamir, trash. Devontae back, question mark.
Okay.
The Broncos, Javonte has more control. Went from 52% to 68% snap share. 5 catches for 48 yards is kind of what saved him. He didn't have great production from the rushing standpoint. This is not we're excited about Javonte. This is us letting you know his snap share went up, which just tells you how bad that backfield is. And the Broncos in general. Scary team. JJ, what do you think?
Yeah, the Chiefs still not looking great. Patrick Mahomes is kind of disappointing. 11.94 fantasy points. I mean, he had 2 touchdowns. He also had 2 interceptions. Not the good. Isaiah Pacheco looked fantastic. He was my king, and I love him, and I'm gonna miss him dearly. Please come back soon. Get healthy soon, King. We love you. 19 carries, 90 yards, 5 receptions for 21 yards.
Pacheco, 4 to 13 weeks. What a crazy number.
Yeah.
I saw 6 to 8, but okay. That's please don't tell me that. Rashi Rice had a great game, 5 for 6, 75 yards at a touchdown. It was over 40 yards, so got that bonus. Xavier Worthy, not great.
Oh,
Not
crazy.
great. 2 for 4, 17 yards.
Yikes.
Travis Kelsey, where are you? Come
Milk
back.
carton.
We miss you. 1 for 3, 5 yards. God. The Chargers, I think they're doing much better than people expected of them. They did play the Panthers, so nothing to really get too excited about. But J.K. Dobbins finishes the RB4 in week 2. That's 2 times in a row. 17 carries for 131 yards and a tutty. That's great. Gus Edwards, where'd you go? 18 carries for 59 yards. Come back. We need you. Quentin Johnston. Woo!
Yeah.
That was exciting. Didn't expect that. 5 for 6, 51 yards, and 2 tutties.
No more Justin
That won't happen
Herbert.
again. What?
No more Justin Herbert.
How long is he
I
up?
don't know, but all I know is QJ was already in a position of complete fluke nature. Now you're losing your starting quarterback for X amount of time. I would not say go get for sure because yikes.
Is Lad McConkey flexible? No, not without Justin.
I don't think so.
I don't think you can even play him right now, really. He had 4.6 points. He only had 2 receptions for 26 yards.
That back.
Raiders, they get their first win.
Yes, sir.
Let's go. Gardner looked like shit. That's okay. Devontae will save the day. Devontae Adams, 26 fantasy points, 9 for 12, 110 and a tutty. That's amazing, baby.
Alexander
Hell
Madison.
yeah. And then Brock Bowers.
Oh, him too.
My goodness. I have got to tell you that I was not. I mean, we knew he was a great talent coming out of college, but wow. 9 for 9 and 98 yards. He's looking solid, dude. He could be really
Tight end 1.
the tight end 1 by the end of the season, just the way he started these first 2 weeks. I think he actually broke a record I heard today somewhere. I think it might have been the fantasy footballers. They were talking about how he had the most receptions by a rookie tight end in the first 2 weeks.
Mm.
Very
Pretty
interesting.
solid. Exciting stuff. Did I forget a team or is that all
You
of them?
did not. Let's move to the.
Oh, the Broncos. The
You did
Broncos.
not forget a team.
We don't need to talk about that.
Let's move over to the NFC East. Arguably the worst division in football. You have the Eagles. They play tonight. But let's talk about the Cowboys. Yikes! That defense, disgusting. Do they have a run game? What's happening over there? You have the Giants.
The committee.
The Giants. I mean, Malik could lead the league in targets this year. Not receptions, targets. We have 15 more losing games coming for those guys. So I mean, targets galore. They're going to
18
throw the rock.
targets is crazy.
Yeah, Washington. Jaden needs some work, right? But Brian Robinson Jr. Oh man, what do we think, Monty? What do you think of those teams?
Washington looks like a backfield by committee. Yeah, Neighbors is getting all the targets, so if they can just get him the ball, he's gonna be solid. The Panthers are atrocious. Maybe with Andy Dalton, they'll look better. I don't see it though. Who else did I? Who else did we say?
Sorry, the Eagles, Washington, Commanders, Cowboys, Giants.
Yeah, Cowboys did not look good at all. If they can't pass the ball, I don't know what the Cowboys are gonna do. Yeah, ass.
JJ, hit us with the ones and twos, baby.
All right, so we had a matchup, the Giants and the Commanders. Daniel Jones had the best game we'll probably see him have all season long, so I would sell him now. Sell him as high as you can. Go, get rid of him. Get rid of him. He sucks. Devin Singletary, hey, that's okay. 16 carries, 95 yards, and a touchdown. You had a fumble, though. That sucks.
A lot of fumbles from these running backs.
In the red zone,
Malik,
too.
yeah. What is going on with that shit, dude? It's ridiculous. Okay. So Jaden Daniels kind of had a down game. That sucked. Austin Eckler, 8 carries, 38 yards, 3 receptions for 47 yards. He had 11.5 fantasy points. That's great. Sure, that'll work. We can roll with that. And then, okay, Eagles are playing tonight. Cowboys, oof. Man, I don't think anybody was expecting, except for Monty, was expecting the Saints to beat the Cowboys. Derek Carr is
QB2.
What? Okay. If you would have told me in the offseason that Baker Mayfield is going to be the number one quarterback in fantasy and Derek Carr is the number two, I would have told you to go fuck yourself. You're crazy. But this is a crazy start to the season, man. And then you got to talk. Oh, okay. We got to talk about the backfield for the Dallas Cowboys. Rico Dowdle had a little bit more involvement. Had more carries than Zeke, but he only had 30 yards, 7 carries, 4 receptions. He had 5 targets. That's pretty good. 29 yards through the air. 9.9 fantasy points. That's not going to get it done. But with the involvement being split between him and Zeke, that is kind of terrifying for managers of both players. The defense is looking solid, man. I was looking at Overshown. He is the defensive lineman for the Cowboys. He had a great week 1 showing, but he looked like crap this week. Didn't have a great snap percentage. Jalen Tolbert went for 6 for 9, 82 yards. We saw CeeDee Lamb do some good stuff. That's what we wanted to see. 4 for 90 and a tutty. And he had a long touchdown, so that's great. Get you that 23 fantasy points in our league. Let's see. Yeah, that's how I feel about
Let's move to the NFC division. North, the best division in football. Not quite, but
crickets.
I was waiting for the rebuttal. You didn't give me the rebuttal. I guess we all agree.
I think the crickets were loud enough.
I think we were just waiting for you to support yourself because no one feels that way.
Let's talk about the Vikings. Darnold. Mr. Sam Darnold looks very comfortable in that offense, so that's very interesting to watch. Obviously, JJ left with a hamstring injury. I don't think it was much as an injury as a bruise. They said it's not really something that we have to worry about, so that's good news. The Lions, Sam Lahu, him and Travis Kelce clearly think this is a simulation, and they're just putting AIs in here, and they disappeared to Cancun somewhere because they're both irrelevant and missing. He might be the 5th option in that offense. The Bears, I hate them. They suck. Caleb Williams has some growing pains, clearly. But I think he's a player that will grow and get it together. So I don't want to completely write him off yet, just because of the mechanics and things I'm seeing. He's just making poor rookie decisions, and missing a couple of throws that we expect rookies to miss. So that's not bad news. The Packers, you should not start any of these receivers, however you want to Dr. Seuss say it, without Jordan Love. Until Jordan Love comes back, these receivers are irrelevant. Josh Jacobs, stock through the roof. This was a Matt LaFleur masterclass, which is something that JJ and I talk about all the time. Monty, you and I have talked about it as well. You don't have to have the greatest offense in the world if you have an amazing offensive minded coach. He will put your athletes in positions to be successful. So that's my thoughts on that. Montavious, what do you think about the self-appointed greatest division in football?
I mean, yeah, like you said, I'm hurt because I have Jaden Reed. So yeah, the wide receiver is not looking good.
Oh wait, how did Dontavian Wicks do?
Yeah, I mean he did okay. He got
Oh,
11 fantasy points. It was
more than Jaden?
nothing to cry. I mean, who was throwing on the ball? Dog shit. Got it.
I like Malik. Well, it's the center's throwing up on the fucking
That was
ball.
crazy.
Yeah.
That was nuts.
As for the Bears, I don't know. I watched the game. Is it? Would you say it's Caleb Williams or is it that O line? He can't do anything.
He got
It's the O
pressured
line.
on 36 of 37 dropbacks.
Like, bro, he can't do anything.
Yeah.
But you would think he'd be used to it after playing for a USC. But I guess the game's a little faster now, so he doesn't have that
Yeah, he
cur-
can't
that
run away.
time. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, rough for Caleb Williams owners right now.
JJ, what do we think?
Yeah. What? I don't know what I'm doing if I'm a Caleb Williams owner. Thank God I'm not. Sorry, Monty. He threw the ball 37 times, dude. Like you said, the amount of pressure he's getting, he doesn't have any time. His receivers are frustrated with him. DJ Moore, like we talked about in the beginning of the show, frustrated. He had 10 targets, 6 receptions for 53 yards, only 13.3 fantasy points. That's not going to get it done. Romo Dunze did play in this game. He went 2 for 5 targets, 2 receptions, 33 yards, only 7.3 fantasy points. That's better than his week 1 performance, showing some improvement. Hopefully, like you guys said, Caleb can kind of grow and develop. Yeah, the Packers, unfortunately, I mean, this was a pretty tough defense against Indianapolis. But they did have some injuries. DeForest Buckner's out with an injury. I think he left the field, didn't come back. Josh Jacobs, 32 carries.
Beast.
That's insane. 151 yards, 1 fumble loss, 13.1 fantasy points. We were talking about it, right? Right before we started recording. 32 carries is great, but if you don't have the touchdowns to back it up and you're fumbling the ball, it's really not helping you. Fumbled the ball on the 1 yard line, like we talked about. That's awful.
A good example of that would
Dante,
be Joe Mixon last week. Had 30 touches last week. Didn't have near as many rushing yards, but also caught the ball 5 times out of the backfield and scored a touchdown. Like, those are the things that make your fantasy player great. If you're just running the ball, no reception points, no anything, you can run for 170 yards. You're still only getting 70 points. And if you fumble, I mean, yikes, bro, which seems to be every back. But yeah.
Dontavian Wicks actually led the receiving room with 3 receptions, 26 yards, and a tutty. I mean, this looks like shit. Romeo Dobbs had 3 receptions for 62 yards, 9.2 fantasy points. The Lions, wow, kind of a surprising upset, I would say. I think everybody, for the most part, thought the Lions were going to win this game, except for Blake. I think, Blake, you said this is your
say that was my upset of the week. Baker Magic.
Nice. I was wrong with my upset. I know we talked about them already, but I had the Bengals beating the Chiefs, and that was a close game, but no cigar. It's okay. I'll try again next time. Yeah, so Jared Goff threw the ball 55 times and had 2 interceptions. So a little worried about Jared Goff right now. I don't know how you guys are feeling about him. Probably trying to get rid of him for maybe somebody else, sell low, or maybe wait until he has a better game, sell him higher, get that price up a little bit. Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery Jameer had 13 carries. David Montgomery had 11. Jameer had 7 receptions for 22 yards. So he's going to be continuing to get that passing love. Amon-Ra St. Brown bounced back this week in a big way. I think he actually may be dealing with an injury, so someone to keep an eye on. But he did finish the game with 16.4 fantasy points, had 5 receptions on 11 targets and 79 yards. And I think that was it, right?
Perfect.
Yep.
The NFC South. NFC South. So you have the Saints. We talked about them a little bit already. Monster from Derek Carr had a great Alvin Kamara behind him. The Buccaneers, again, big win over Detroit. Chris Godwin out of the slot, 33% target share. Liam Cohen, right? Came over from Sean McVay. He was the one who operated with Cooper Kupp. I mean, are we seeing something similar in Chris Godwin? That's definitely something to monitor. Falcons, they play tonight. And then your Panthers, Bryce Young is about as useful as an elephant in a minefield. So pull the plug. Next up, I mean, we're looking at Andy Dalton now, the Red Rocket himself. What are we going to see here, Monty? What do you think?
Yeah, Bryce Young, not fantasy related, but do you think he gets traded somewhere elsewhere? So that's rumors that I've heard. Other than that, that division's ass. So
The big thing with him is they had said that he doesn't have an NFL caliber arm.
mm,
He doesn't have an NFL caliber athleticism, right? So he doesn't have the escapability with the lack of arm talent.
yeah, and he's small in stature also. So yeah, it's kind of lose lose.
I agree. And we are moving into the NFC West, correct? Last division. Wrap this up and get it pushing forward. Let's move. Seahawks, JSN breakout, question mark. We loved what we saw there. Obviously, Metcalf has been broken out, had a great week as well. Zach Charbonnet, 96% snap share. I mean, how viable does that make him over there while Kenneth Walker's down? The Cardinals, Kyler, MHJ, McBride, Connor, are they an every week start? 49ers, Debo's out. Ayuk can finally get off the milk carton, hopefully. What do we think there? I guess is the real question. And the Rams, no Puka, no Cup, no team? Question mark. I mean, everybody on that team is hurt. So, what do we think
Yeah.
of the NFC West, JJ?
Not crazy about it, honestly. Don't have much to say.
Sick.
Matt Stafford looked like shit. 19 for 27, 216, had a fumble and was sacked 5 times. They lost like 3 starters on their offensive line. Kyron Williams, 12 carries for 25 yards and a touchdown. Had 4 receptions for 27 yards. I'm not sure who the wide receiver 1 is in LA with Cooper and Puka gone. Demarcus Robinson played 92% of the snaps in week 1 and 92% of the snaps in week 2. I think he had 4 targets in both of those games. He did go 2 for 50 yards, which isn't bad, but it's only 7 fantasy points. 49ers got upset by the Vikings. Wasn't really expecting that. Brock Purdy doesn't look very good for fantasy and for football. Jordan Mason, I don't know what the fuck is going on with this thing. Jordan Mason, 20 carries again. That's fantastic. 17.4 fantasy points and 100 rushing yards at a touchdown. Debo Samuel, oof, sucks. He went, oh my God, what the fuck?
So, JJ, what do you think of the NFC West?
Oh my fucking God.
You can't make this shit up. Hey, welcome back, JJ, to the. What do you think of the NFC West? JJ, what do you think about the NFC West? That's
It's fucking trash. That's what I think. No, the Seahawks. Yeah, JSN had his little breakout. Finally, it only took week 2 in his second year, but I mean, at the same rate, DK Metcalf went the fuck off this week. 10 for 14, 129 and a tutty. You got that long touchdown, so you got the 40 plus, 50 plus bonuses. He ended up with 30.9 fantasy points in our league. Tyler Lockett, what the hell happened, bud? Where are you? Come back. Or just leave entirely so JSN can eat. Noah Fant, that was a dud. Hunter Henry, oh, well, that was against the Seahawks, but he had a great game. Did you guys see that? Actually, really quick, I know this isn't the NFC West, but Hunter Henry had 8 receptions for 109 yards, and Jacoby Brissett only threw for 149 yards.
Yikes.
That's wild, dude. Yeah, this division looks well. The Seahawks look good, man. I'm not gonna lie. First year head coach, new offensive coordinator. The offense is humming. It looks good, even without Kenneth Walker there. Charbonnet, he looked like shit. He doesn't look great, but he did good for fantasy. He has 17.9 fantasy points. Other than
96%
that,
snap share.
yeah,
It's on
wow.
the field for every down.
Well, that's gonna last. Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray looked like a monster. 266 passing yards, 3 tutties. He looks good. He had 5 carries for 59 yards, only sacked once. James Conner, 21 carries, 122 yards, and a touchdown. He's still looking great, man. Trey Benson's disappointing. It's okay. Hold on to him for
Hold the
now.
door.
Marvin Harrison Jr. Woo! Hey, I'm happy for everybody. After the first week, you were probably feeling a little shook. But 4 for 130 yards, 2 touchdowns. Atta baby, that was nice. And he looked really good, too.
Mhm.
Him and Kyler both.
And
They
Malik
absolutely
Neighbors.
slapped the Rams. Yes. Um, that was my wide receiver essential start of the week. Trey McBride, also 6 for 6, 67 yards. He had a fumble, but it was a fumble touchdown, is how they have him marked as sleeper.
Yep.
That's pretty funny. Colby Parkinson, doo doo. That's all.
Let's kick it over to our week 2 essential starts. We're going to talk about the essential starts that we told you guys about last week. If you watched the shorts, we told you guys who to start. We were right on some of them, we were wrong on some of them. But here's what I will say. If you come into my inbox and you want to disagree with opinions, I'm cool with that, but expect the smoke when it doesn't go your way. I'm warning everybody now. If you come in talking crazy, I do this. Okay? I come prepared. JJ, essential starts. You want to rattle them off for us?
Are we talking about week 3 or what we did
What we
with
did with
week
week
2?
week 2.
Okay. So, yeah, you guys hopefully listened in on that episode. Justin Herbert was my start of the week, essential start of the week. He was projected for 14.02 fantasy points. He finished as a quarterback 15. Boo. He had 10 fantasy points on the week. That sucked. Running back for my essential start in week 2 was Josh Jacobs. He was projected for 14.93 fantasy points. He finished as the RB21. Yikes. Only had 13.1 fantasy points. Even with all those 150 rushing yards, that was disappointing. My wide receiver essential start of the week was Malik Neighbors. Projected 12.72 fantasy points. He finished as the wide receiver 3 on the week. Yes, with 28.7 fantasy points. Fantastic, bud. Good job. I hope we can keep it up. Like you said, 18 targets. That's ridiculous. Excuse me.
I get it. You're getting choked up talking about him. I do it too.
Yeah, 10 for 127. That's 12.7 to catch. That's awesome. And a tutty. He had his first touchdown against his college quarterback. I think that's kind of cool. And then my tight end. Wow. Huge mistake. I thought we were going to see a bounce back from Evan Ingram, but he hurt his little hamstring in warm up, so he had to sit out.
For the KD.
Yeah, he did. Ouch. So, yeah, Brenton Strange, if you guys were able to pick him up really quickly before the game started, like I said, he kind of did you right. 9.5 fantasy points. Tight end scoring is not great right now, except for if you're Brock Bowers, then you're a god. IDP was Terrell Bernard. He's projected for 14.79 fantasy points. We had a ton of injuries this week. He was one of them. He had a pectoral strain, and he only played 14% of the snaps, so he finished with just 2 tackles and 4 fantasy points. So I went 1 for 5 in my week 2 essential starts. Sorry, everybody. Hope you didn't listen to me. Hope you listened to somebody else. We had better records.
Hopefully it wasn't me. Week 2, my essential starts were I told everyone to start Derek Carr because I'm a god and a genius. I didn't actually do that. I
Oh,
didn't give a quarterback last week. I don't know how we missed it, but yeah, if I would have gone back, I would have told everyone to start Kyler Murray. So I like to say I would have been right, but the only reason I would have said Kyler Murray is because I have Kyler Murray and I was putting all the faith and good juju into him. My week 2 to start with running back was Joe Mixon, 25 yards rushing, 3 for 5, 25 yards in the carry. I mean, didn't have the same week that we saw from week 1, but he did get hurt. The ankle injury was a thing, so just monitor that. And that was interesting because of
hip
the hip
drop
drop
tackle.
rules. Yeah, it's very interesting. We'll see how that develops.
Bullshit. No call there. That game was frustrating. Sorry.
Cooper Cup was my essential wide receiver start, and 4 for 6, 37 yards. And he also got hurt and is now going to the IR. So basically, anyone I tell you is going to get hurt. Trey McBride was my essential tight end start, which was a Bing for
Good
me,
one.
6 for 6, 67, and a tutty. Granted, it was on a fumble, but he was where he needed to be. Little asterisk on there. And then TJ Edwards, 8 tackles, 7 solo tackles, did his thing, had a good little week. So 3 for 5, not great. But Benjamin, who were your essential starts? What do we think? How'd you do?
I went even less than y'all. I went 2 for 2 though. Ramondre Stevenson had another solid game. What did he do? 21 carries, 81 yards, a tutty, 2 receptions. In our league, got us 17 points, and then I said Amon Ross St. Brown was going to have a bounce back game, and he did. 11, 11 catches, was it 19 targets? I think 19 targets, 119 yards. Got us 24 plus points in our league as well. So I went 2 for 2. Something light, nothing crazy. 100%.
Not the
You
rest of
only
them.
did 2.
Nah.
Yeah. 2 out of 5. That's good.
two. I went 2 for 2. So
Well, we are going to kick it over to our final segment of the day, night, whenever you're watching this. Montavious, run us through our. What are we doing? The
trending players.
trending
we
players. Love
So
that.
we have on the trending players, we have 3 KC running backs. We got Carson Steele. We have some Majay P. Ryan and Kareem Hunt. Obviously, with Pacheco getting hurt, who's going to get the ball? I think Carson Steele, who is number 1 in trending, is the player to pick up if you don't have him already. So number 1, Carson Steele. Then you have QJ out of the Chargers. Quentin Johnson had a phenomenal week. He's number 2 trending right now. Then followed by Jalen Naylor, Mike Gesicki, Braylon Allen, Hunter Henry, and Skylar Thompson.
All right, let's just go down for the first 3. The Kansas City running backs. JJ, what do you think about these Kansas City running backs?
I'm glad you asked. Kansas City actually brought in Kareem Hunt today. So there's a potential that they will be signing him probably here pretty soon. If I had to choose which one of these running backs I would like, I'm probably going with Kareem Hunt. Honestly, that might sound kind of crazy because he's not on the roster currently, but I don't really have a lot of faith in Samaje P. Ryan and Carson Steele.
Challenge.
I think he had a fumble. Oh,
Yep, throw my challenge
go
flag.
ahead. Go ahead. Yeah, tell me what you got.
Kareem Hunt, for what? We haven't seen a Dalvin Cook got signed to we haven't seen anybody get signed that's immediately moving into an RB1 role. With Carson Steele there, all the secondary carries were going to him. Even after he fumbled, they trusted him in
Yeah.
duty time with the rock. So I'm curious. I want the feedback. This is just my challenge play to you. The feedback as to why Kareem Hunt.
First of all, was already on this team once upon a time before there was a
Very true.
domestic violence case. So he's going back to a familiar offense with a familiar coach who knows his abilities. Maybe he's a little bit older, but I want to remind you that in week 6 last year when he played for the Browns, he had 16, 15, 13 fantasy points. So if you're looking for a running back that you need in order to replace some of the injuries that you maybe sustained, like myself, I lost Kenneth Walker and Isaiah Pacheco. Um, so I would just monitor that. If they do sign him, like I said, I think that they're going to utilize him. Back when he was, let's see, when was he on the Chiefs? He finished as the running back 4 and running back 11 on the Chiefs. So I don't know. I just feel like maybe they're going to probably just ditch the run entirely and just start throwing the ball a whole lot more, especially since we're seeing such a low production from Travis Kelsey. But if I had to pick one, that's who I'm going with. I
Love it.
like him better out of 3.
I love it. Montavious, what do you think? You went Carson Steele?
I also think Carson Steele's going to be that guy, especially with Kareem Hunt just getting there. Yeah, he's coming back to a familiar field, but I think Carson Steele's going to be the one. Hunt's going to be the 2, and Samaje P. Ryan's irrelevant. So that's what I think.
Oh, you just hurt Samaje's feelings, I'm sure, when he watches in. Let's move over. Who was our next one on there? Was
QJ?
QJ? Yeah, if you're in a fantasy league, in a dynasty, or kind of what we talk about most of the time, he's probably picked up. If you are in a rebuild league and you can pick him up, I still don't think he's worth the pickup. He's a stream at best if you're hurting in that position, or if you're hurting right now. You have Amon-Ra St. Brown and Puka and all these guys. You thought you had this great team and you need somebody to stream. He might be, but Justin Herbert getting hurt, I mean, it's tough to say go pick up this guy who had a fluke week. JJ, what do you think?
QJ. Touchdowns are not a reliable statistic, and he had 2 of them. You're not going to be able to say, like, oh, he's going to have 2 touchdowns every week. He only had 6 targets, so no, I'm not really going to go after him or pay up to get him or anything like that.
As much
And it was
as
versus Carolina.
That's a good point, too.
as much as
Not a great
I
defense.
don't want to take shots at Monty like I always do. This is a great example where touchdowns make the world of difference, and we see it, right? We saw it early on week 1 with Jaden Reed and Xavier Worthy, who were very touchdown dependent. Now, Jaden Reed has a history of a crazy touchdown to touch ratio, but
Ratio, yeah.
aside from that, I mean, touchdowns, if you're dependent upon it and you don't really touch the rock that much, it's tough for you to be dependent as a fantasy player. Monty, who's next?
Jalen Naylor.
Poop.
Oh, really? I don't think so. I think that he's someone to watch, especially with Jordan Addison currently hurt. Is that right?
Jordan Addison
I think
is
he's going
hurt.
to miss some
I
time.
don't think
Yes, he is out. Could return to action in week 3, but just in case he comes back and he's not fully healthy, I think that's a good stash. I mean, he had 93% of the snaps last week. He went 3 for 4, 54 yards, and he had a touchdown. So, and Sam Darnold looked pretty fucking good, actually.
Just another guy to me that's very touchdown dependent. He had a touchdown in week 1, he had a touchdown in week 2, so he's very touchdown dependent, but he's not really seeing the target share. JJ left the game, but it looks like he's going to be back next week. I just think while JJ's on the field, nobody else on that team is really super relevant. It's kind of like the Cowboys in a way. If CD's on the field, there's not really another receiver that you're paying attention to. It was kind of like Detroit last year, right? Until Jameson Williams had this crazy breakout year. I mean, Amon-Ra St. Brown was there, so you weren't really paying attention to other receivers, right? Sam Laporta had a great year too, but you're not really, I don't know, tough.
Yeah, I think the Jamison Williams breakout's kind of affecting Sam Laporta a little bit.
Oh, absolutely. You got Jameson Williams and Amon-Ra St. Brown have this very fun to watch high-low dynamic that is very effective. So that's very interesting to watch. Montavious.
Next is Mike Gesicki.
I thought he had a great week. JJ, what do you think?
Yeah, actually, I do have Mike Gesicki in the buy low category for me. I actually would even be willing to put him as my essential start this week. He had a great week. I think they play. Let me check. They play Washington next week. So He had 9 targets, 7 for 9, and 91 yards. That's pretty damn good at the tight end position. 16.1 fantasy points.
I agree, especially with that offense being as slow as it is. It looks like they're utilizing him in a very different way than we're used to seeing over there. So it's fun to see that he's actually a part of the offense.
Yep. Next.
Yeah, Mike Gesicki finished as. Oh, I'm sorry. He finished as the tight end 5 on the week.
He was on my bench.
Who's next? Sorry.
Next is Braylon Allen behind Brees Hall.
I loved it.
Yes, facts.
A Wisconsin boy. They're putting him in the right positions. Didn't have a crazy amount of touches, but did work with the touches that he got. I mean, 2 tutties is a big thing. Touchdown dependent. You cannot rely on him being able to do that consistently, but it looks like they're not afraid to hand it to him in the red zone, and we love that, right? Brees Hall is not your traditional downhill runner, red zone style back. So it looks like we could see a at least red zone split backfield in with the Jets. So that's something interesting to monitor, but I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it looks like he literally had half the amount of touches as Brees Hall.
Yep.
Only 7 carries and 4 receptions, whereas Brees Hall had 14 carries, 8 reception. Or I'm sorry, 8 targets, 7 receptions. Dude, that 7 reception line for a running back is so killer. It's so killer. Oh man, if I can get a running back that gets 7 receptions every week, I'd be the happiest man.
Yeah, love me some Brees Hall.
But I like Braylon Allen too. I mean, Brees had 24 points. Braylon Allen had 20. That's pretty impressive that they can both score so highly. Both finishing, I think, what Brees right now as it stands because we got one more game to finish. But Brees was running back 4 on the week, and Braylon Allen was running back 6. They almost just missed that top 10 mark. But I imagine Bijan or Saquon will be in there after this game.
Doesn't really look like it right now.
Yeah, not today. I don't know.
Bijan,
Yeah,
currently sitting at a lovely 5.9, while Saquon's at a lovely 3.7. Which, Kyle Pitts is at a 1.2. Where are we at in this game? Halftime. I'm rooting for just a dump of a game because I would love to see Montavious fall this week. We talked about how he's 2-0. Don't get it twisted. He could be 1-1. And believe me, on our next episode, I will make sure you know how he finished, unless he wins.
Unless I win, then we're not going to hear anything about it.
Precisely. He needs 6 points between Kyle Pitts and Saquon Barkley in the next half, which very, very doable.
Next, we have Hunter Henry.
Wow. Yeah, if you can get him. He had a great week.
If we talk about it, go back, find the clip, roll it. We talked about Hunter Henry in the offseason. We said he looked like the favorite target in New England, so that's
I don't know if it's just me, but you're popping a lot.
It's his mic.
Oh,
okay. No, you're popping a lot, dude. Goddamn technical difficulties tonight. What the fuck?
I blame you.
It's a virus. It's a virus.
All right, I am kicked back. What was I yelling about? I was screaming about something.
Hunter Henry.
Oh, about how you're not going to win this week. Oh, Hunter Henry. Okay, Hunter Henry. Yeah, we talked about it in the offseason. Just call back to us, right? Another, point
Great
for
take.
us.
Great take,
yeah,
everybody.
Gold star on the board. We talked about him in the offseason, how he's going to be the favorite target. So it's nice to see our predictions coming to fruition, early weeks on. Who else?
And last but not least, Skylar Thompson. But he's probably least.
JJ, you and I talked about this off air before we started recording tonight. Do we think they go get a veteran quarterback?
Well, like we talked about, they did sign Tyler Huntley, who I think we both like. We talked about a little bit today. He filled in for Lamar pretty nicely, ended up taking the Ravens to the playoffs, but unfortunately had a quick out. They were out in the first round, so but he still went to the Pro Bowl. However, I think he actually fits into this offensive scheme really well. Truthfully, like if he can give us a little bit of what we saw with him in Baltimore, I think. I mean, he wasn't crazy for fantasy. Don't get me wrong, but I think on this offense, like it's all about speed, right? And like we talked about, the offensive scheme is so good. It's literally the system. You just have to put the right pieces into it. I think he could potentially be that. I don't think Skylar Thompson is. Um, I don't even know the last time this guy actually played a game.
The only thing that makes me nervous about Tyler Huntley is in offenses like this, they are usually fairly complex with their motions and things like that. So, do we see less motion from these wide receivers? Are we seeing less of the offensive mechanics, or do we think that
No,
he just slides in and gets it?
I think he's going to be a slide in and get it kind of guy. He did that with Greg Roman's offense. I think Greg Roman was the offensive coordinator when he was in Baltimore. So yeah, I think he'll be able to come in and listen. I got you said something, and I hear these guys talk about it all the time. The pre-snap motion is so important, and I don't think it's utilized enough. I think that's apparent by the number of touchdowns we've seen so far through 2 fucking weeks. The defenses like are just stopping the offensive plays in such a like uneasy. It's like making me sick. I can't stand it. Honestly, so frustrating. I want to see more pre-snap motion. It also opens up the slot a little bit too. So that would be really good for like Jalen Waddle. I think Jalen Waddle out of the slot would be fucking awesome. But until they get, which I think Huntley could be, a quarterback that can get the ball to Tyreek and Jalen and Devon Achane out of the background. Yeah, I'm worried about the Dolphins. Truthfully, I think this week we can't expect Tyler Huntley to play, but I wouldn't even stream Skylar Thompson. I wouldn't. They're playing the Seahawks, so
I
Julian
agree.
Love. Oof, that man's a monster for IDP. That's oof. I love Julian Love.
I agree. The one thing I do want to touch on, a great point, JJ. So, for those that are average fantasy football players and maybe even just average fans of the game of football, I want to put on just a small, like, or plug, I guess, a small understanding of what exactly he's talking about, right? These pre-snap motions do a couple of things. One, you can see immediately if they're in man or a zone coverage, right? Because they're going to watch how your
Helps you read
linebackers, your safeties,
defense.
everyone helps you read them, right? So when you don't have that pre-snap motion, you're guessing based on disguises and stuff that the defenses are putting out there. Disguise being they're making a formation look like one thing, but in reality turning it to something else. When you run these pre-snap motions, it forces them to move in a way that kind of gives away that disguise. Also, if they are in like a zone coverage versus a man coverage, man is pretty stationary. So you'll watch somebody run across the field with a receiver when they use that motion. But if you just watch the linebackers kind of shift, that can determine a couple of things, right? Like JJ said, it's going to open up the slot, but it's also going to give you room to read, okay, if we are running a power left and the linebackers are shifting to the right, now you're moving these linebackers 1 or 2 steps away from where you're running. And in an NFL that is as fast as it is, it only takes 1 or 2 steps to be behind. So these are the pre-snap things that we're talking about that make it so viable, which is why you see your major offenses in the NFL, the Dolphins, the Chiefs, Kyle
Right
Shanahan with
now,
the 49ers. I mean,
the
those guys are
dude,
doing it
the
right.
Bucks are, I think, top 5 in the NFL for pre-snap motion. The Saints, who have had success that we weren't expecting, they were. I heard this on another show, but I'm going to plug it here too because it was just great information. The Saints went from 31st in the NFL last year in pre-snap motion to first in the first 2 weeks of the season. So what does that literally tell you? They are leading the league in scoring right now. I think the Saints have the number one offense in the NFL. It's insane to me.
And
Um,
that's a great point. I didn't even mention Sean McVay, right? One of the great offensive minds as well over there. And like you said, the Bucks, Liam Cohen came from being with Sean
Sean
McVay in the
McVay.
Rams, and he's brought that over to Tampa Bay, who's now have this exploding offense. We're seeing that guys with the most pre-snap motion are able to read the defense the best. So in the case of Tyler Huntley, like you said, with these pre-snap motions, I think that's going to allow him to fit in better quicker. If they decide to go that route, obviously they could stick with Skylar Thompson. We don't know what they're going to do.
Right. And also, I want to say, like, the pre snap motion also gives that quarterback the opportunity to, like you said, read. And if he needs to, call the audible and check down or whatever it may be, right? He sees something, like you said, the linebacker stepping back, a couple steps. and it's not a disguise. You see other tail signs, then he can check down to, or he can audible on the line and get the running back. Hey, we're just going to go inside zone, and that's I think is what we're seeing them do so well.
I wasn't expecting Skylar Thompson to be the one to raise the full conversation, but Skylar Thompson, everybody, yeah, that's our take
He's
on him.
ass.
Montavious, what are your thoughts on Skylar Thompson? You're going to be the one to say, "Oh, I love him. I put in $57 of free
Absolutely
agency
not.
money to go get him."
I don't think he finishes out as the starting quarterback for the Dolphins at all.
Tua is
So
coming back.
yeah, they'll probably
Tua will be
All
back
right.
too. He did say he wasn't going to retire. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just want to
no,
let
you're good.
everybody know. Tua's coming back. He's not going to retire, although we're all concerned about his health and his well being. I think, truthfully, we didn't touch on that too much, but I do
Like,
wish him, full health and a fast recovery.
he
Truthfully,
has to wear a Guardian, right?
I
I
don't think.
wouldn't expect anything less. Honestly, just
Like
take
at the
every
bare
precaution you
minimum,
can.
to not have like a press shark frenzy, he's got to at least wear a Guardian. Like every time we see him going forward with a helmet on, should be with a Guardian. Like if that dude falls getting water, it's a
Yeah,
problem.
on and off the field, he needs a guard.
Yeah, that dude needs to wear 24/7 shower cap, Guardian. Like I don't all of it, but that is where we're at. Do you guys want to touch on any essential starts this week?
Oh yeah, I got my week 3 essential starts.
Send them.
Okay, so I
Monty and I are
am
going to go off the dome, just so you know. We're going to
okay.
send it off the dome.
Oh shit. Okay. Wow. Ballers. Okay. So coming off a hot week, um, Fred Warner is my IDP essential start for week 3, baby. Just had 36.2 fantasy points against the Vikings in a loss. I expect them to absolutely destroy this Rams offense, who lost, like I said, 3 starting offensive linemen. Matt Stafford's on his last leg, and all the wide receivers are gone. And also, Colby Parkinson is trash. So I expect Fred Warner to have a big, big game. My quarterback, do you want to go through all of them? Or you want to do your IDP?
Let's do one. Let's do one and one.
Okay,
Monty,
go
who's
ahead.
your
Go ahead.
IDP for this week?
IDP for the week, I'm going to say Zaire Franklin going up against the Chicago Bears.
Yeah.
Hey, if you're going up against the Bears, apparently you're going to eat on defense. So
Mm-hmm.
that's my essential start.
Nice.
My IDP for the week is you already touched on him, Julian Love.
Nice.
I mean, that is a not great offense to go against, and he is a very, very downhill DB. He's going to be a tackle monger, so Julian Love is my essential start for week 3 now. All right, JJ, kick us off with a running back.
Okay,
Or we're
running
going
back.
up, tight end. Sorry, we're going up.
Oh, I did. I went IDP, quarterback, running back. I don't know. I did it weird this week. Well, I'll just give you my quarterback essential start if that's okay. You guys ready for that?
Send it.
So, I hate picking AFC North teams. I really do, other than the Steelers, of course. Uh, the Bengals and the Ravens are 0-2. And now the Ravens have a tough matchup in Dallas or against Dallas in week 3. So I didn't go there. I actually went with Joe Burrow uh,
Oh,
against Washington
yep.
on Monday Night Football. It's a primetime game. I want Cool Joe in primetime against that Washington secondary. Someone's going to eat. If it's T. Higgins, if he's healthy, if Jamar stops throwing fits, maybe he'll have a great week. But yeah, I'm going with Joe Burrow.
My essential start for week 3 at the quarterback position is Lamar Jackson.
Nice. Yeah.
Dallas, we just saw what happened to Dallas. I don't care if it's secondary, front, linebackers, it doesn't matter. I think Lamar Jackson turns up the dial this week. We're going to see a big bounce back game from Lamar, and I'm excited to see it
And
happen.
the
Monty.
North holds grudges. Sorry, I just wanted to say that. They got chips on their shoulder now. So both those quarterbacks I think they're gonna play really hard.
Monty.
I'm done putting him on the bench, man. I think I'm going to go Derek Carr.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins obviously isn't doing it, but I think Derek Carr on that offense does expose the Phillies secondary. So I think, and they just look high powered. So I think they're on a roll right now. So I think Derek Carr has a great game.
Philly on a short week too, coming off the Monday night game.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Love it.
Okay,
Hit us
so
with your next one, Monty. Or excuse me, JJ.
running back essential start of the week is I went with Jerome Ford actually. I know we're concerned about his involvement. Like we talked about Jonathan Foreman starting. I do think that we're going to see a bounce back and a lot more volume from Jerome Ford, especially against this Giants defense that's just awful. They just played against the Washington Commanders, and Brian Robinson had a day, so I expect Jerome Ford to get back on track. So I'm going to go with him. I'm going to go with him for week 3.
Montavious, who do you think?
I'm going to say Derrick Henry versus the Cowboys.
Ooh.
Nice.
If they don't figure it out, if they don't after 2 weeks, if they don't figure out feed Derrick Henry, then I think the Ravens aren't even going to make the playoffs. But I think they figure it out and they start running the ball through Henry.
Love it. My running back essential start of the week is Josh Jacobs. You're playing against Tennessee. I think it's going to be a run-heavy game. You're obviously not going to have Malik throwing all over the field.
It's a tough secondary.
I like that secondary. I don't. DeForest Buckner just got hurt, so I don't like that defensive front near as much. I think it's going to be the Josh Jacobs show again. I wouldn't be surprised to see another 24, 25 plus touches. So that is my essential running back start.
I just wanted to say something. Sorry. Did you say DeForest Buckner?
Yes, not who I meant.
Okay, I was like, I'm sorry. You were talking about the Titans, right?
Yes,
They got Jeffrey Simmons there. Is that who you're talking about?
Yes, Jeffrey Simmons. Thank you.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to help you. I don't know. Not a big deal. Whatever. Wide receiver.
Clip me. I don't
You wanna
care.
go
Send
the
it to the
next
group chat. I don't give a fuck.
one?
Yeah, go ahead. Hit us with the tight end or wide receiver, whichever one.
I'm going wide receiver, baby. Wide receiver, essential start. Debo Samuel's out for the next couple weeks. I think we're gonna get Ayuk. We're gonna get Brandon Ayuk just going off against the Rams. So that's who I am going with. Whenever Debo's not on the field, we see an increase in targets for either Brandon Ayuk or George Kittle or both, really. So I think both are going to eat, but I wanted to go with Brandon Ayuk. I think he finally gets back on track after missing spring training because of contract issues. Dum dum. Now catch the ball. That's all you got to do. Brock Purdy, get it.
My wide receiver essential start of week 3 is none other than DJ Moore. Some frustration. We saw it on the sideline. I think behind closed doors they address it. You're playing against Indy this week, a bad team. Let Caleb figure it out. I think DJ Moore gets the rock, and they threw a screen to him, and they are realizing this is me speaking to them directly. I'll text their GM afterwards. They threw the ball to him in a screen, and they realized if we get the ball in our athletes' hands, they're going to do things with it. So hopefully we see more touches for DJ Moore, and I think he has a great week. Montavious. It is very interesting because the Raiders do love to play to the level of their competition. So that'll be interesting to see for sure. JJ, hit us with the last one.
My Bubbas, I am just going to ride the hot hand here. Monty, you're going to love this. I decided to go with Brock Bowers for my tight end essential start, week 3. Playing against the worst team in the league, Carolina Panthers, at home. And like I said, this man has had ridiculous amounts of targets. Had 9 targets in week 2. And I believe he had 9 targets, 10 targets. Oh, no, he had 8 targets in week 1 and 9 targets in week 2. I just see him continuing to be a main focal point for this offense, even with Devontae eating. I think Devontae is going to eat. I think that's a great start. Yeah, Brock Bowers, baby. Let's see what you got. Keep it going, Bubba. You look great.
Montavious, who is your essential tight end?
Ooh.
Okay. My final essential start for this week, essential tight end for week 3, none other than the Muth, Pat Fryermuth. You're playing against the Chargers, who don't have a very strong linebacking core. We saw him get involved well,
They just lost Junior Colson
the rookie.
as well to injury, so I think that's going to hurt them a little bit.
That
Sorry,
middle
just
of the
wanted to plug
field is
that.
going to be workable for the
Yeah.
tight end position. I think we see him get involved early and often, so that is my tight end pick for this week 3 matchup.
I love.
All right. That wraps us up for today. We did some essential starts. We did some recaps. We did our week 2 essential starts and told you how bad we are. And that's why we're average fantasy football players along with you guys. We're just here to give you the stats and let you make your own judgments. But JJ, do you have anything to say to the folks at home?
Hey, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. If you're watching us on YouTube, just love to have you guys. I hope that we can help you win your weeks. Trying to get better. I know we're average, but we are trying to get above average at least.
The bare minimum.
Stick with us.
Montavious, anything to say for the folks at home? Y'all know what it is. Stay out of my inbox unless you're ready for the smoke. We'll see y'all next time.